So this is where I keep all my bikes from all of my adventures which I've had with Yamaha, especially my Tracer 700 and also my Tenere 700, which I rode from Paris to Dakar. I took one of the first bikes off the production line from the MBK factory, producing them near Paris, and my brief was to ride and follow the spirit of the Dakar. Needless to say, I didn't literally go over the sand dunes, not on your Nelly, but I went alongside as close as I could. This journey will perhaps remind ourselves why historically Yamaha has and still does have an enthusiastic relationship with this spectacular sporting adventure event. And also I wanted to find out what the name Tenere meant to Yamaha, but also to the race.
Mais là on a une chance formidable, on choisit le nom et on dépose le nom Tenere. Mais en 82, le Dakar n'est toujours pas passé dans le Tenere.
Having sourced fabulous material from the YouTube film La Saga Tenere, Yamaha's CEO Eric Desains offers a knowledgeable and keen perspective about the company's flagship adventure model, the Tenere 700.
Qui ont envie de pousser les frontières, qui ont envie de continuer à découvrir leur vie et le monde à travers la moto.
This is supported both by a rare interview with the founder-organiser of the Dakar, Thierry Sabine, but also an almost on-screen conversation with Eric's great colleague and Dakar champ, the late Jean-Claude Olivier.
Où nous faisions 15 000 km de course et je crois que cette difficulté, cet espace a beaucoup aidé dans la tête, dans l'esprit.
And when you add film which I shot from the last time the Dakar rode in Africa in 2007, plus I added important side locations like the Gobi Desert, Timbuktu and South America, I, being supported by Yamaha for over 18 years, invokes the notion of heritage, and that has all sorts of good connotations such as loyalty. I can't speak for others like Eric and Jean-Claude, but that's what heritage means to me.
De toute façon, ce que je disais tout à l'heure, dans une course comme la Route du Rhum, quand des concurrents se font balayer par des vagues géantes, ils vont pas se plaindre à l'organisateur.
This story is about a motorcycle called Tenere, Tenere 700 to be more precise, and it's about how the name of a motorcycle from its history can inspire a deep sense of passion, respect and love. So a few days after the birth of this motorcycle, I rode from near Paris and went in search of its name.
Et là on a une chance incroyable, de temps en temps il faut du bol, hein. Mais là on a une chance formidable, c'est que on choisit le nom et on dépose le nom Tenere. Mais en 82, le Dakar n'est toujours pas passé dans le Tenere. À l'époque, il passe par l'Algérie, le Mali, mais il ne passe pas au Niger. Et donc, il ne traverse pas le Tenere.
I'd been to Tenere in the mid-80s, but it was no longer safe to go there now, so we had to take a different approach to try and understand the sense and spirit of this almost mythical place. Meanwhile, the Paris-Dakar Rally was being launched for the first time on French television in 1978.
Une grande aventure a commencé ce matin pour 176 pilotes d'auto et de moto qui ont quitté Paris pour Dakar. 8500 km d'un rallye qui leur fera traverser.
Où les gens sont à la recherche de repousser leurs limites et leurs frontières. Et donc le Côte d'Ivoire-Côte d'Azur sort de ça, et finalement le premier Dakar naît aussi de cette motivation. Thierry Sabine, on connaît tous l'histoire, hein, qui fait le rallye côte-côte, qui se perd dans le Ténéré, qui croit qu'il va mourir, et qui finalement en réchappe, et se dit maintenant je vais l'organiser, mais en mieux.
Thierry Sabine, French motorcycle racer and founder of Paris-Dakar. Born 1949 in Neuilly-sur-Seine in France, died in a helicopter crash, aged 37, near Mali. His remains are scattered beside the last tree of Ténéré in Niger. His sporting status mythologized by the yearly occasion of the world's toughest motorcycle race. The smell of the tobacco shop, the crunch of the baguette, the faded glory of a France that when found excites me still. And the road worship of French rock star Johnny Hallyday is immortalised by the faithful on roads that go south to the Côte d'Azur. I went to live in France as a callow youth, and the French way of harnessing the past with nostalgia is a feeling I will never forget.
Lorsqu'on a dû se poser la question de savoir comment on allait revenir sur ce marché du trail, en ce qui me concerne, j'ai toujours été très affirmatif et très sûr de mes choix là-dessus. Je voulais une moto tout-terrain. Mon objectif, c'était vraiment de se dire, avec les Japonais, avec nos ingénieurs, avec nos groupes de travail, reconstruisons une génération Ténéré, comme on a su la faire en 83-84.
Sometimes on the road, time passes like a wave from a train, where warm thoughts of suffering are caused by some unappeased yearning to return home. You're alone, and while sometimes that's your best comfort, I carried on south to meet a friend.
I like motorcycling because it makes me happy. I feel free on the bike, and on a bike like this Yamaha, you double your pleasure. You can go everywhere without any trouble. It's the opportunity to be yourself everywhere with a bike. Mostly off-road, some track, some travel in difficult things because the weight is really perfect.
I'm trying to get into TET, which is the Trans-European trails which exist all over Europe, which have been created by people like John Ross and many others and all his linesmen. It's brand new to me to ride off-road on tracks which, you know, just don't exist on ordinary routes. So we've been working on a sat-nav situation, getting hold of the Garmin Montana and trying to get it assembled onto the bike, and I'm going to meet Stefan shortly over in Carcassonne, and he's going to further help me, and then we're set to go.
In the GPS, the track file, GPX, with the GPS you need to know how to use it, because you need to know where you are, where you go, where maybe a gas station is or whatever.
Progressivement va naître l'idée, derrière la légende du Dakar et derrière ce que Yamaha a installé associé à la légende du Dakar, il y a un énorme potentiel commercial qu'il faut savoir saisir.
In my own small way, riding this new bike on and off-road gave me some idea of what it was all about. The legend of the race, the marketing foresight of Jean-Claude Olivier, and of course the name Ténéré. It also showed me how one bike can do two things extremely well. Yamaha were now inextricably linked to the most famous adventure motorbike event in the world. As Yamaha CEO Eric Desains explains, all they required was a name.
Mais Jean-Claude Olivier a le pif de se dire « mais non, ça c'est un beau nom, on va l'appeler Ténéré ». Et ce qui a une chance formidable, c'est que la moto sort en 83. Et en 83, pour sa première fois, le Dakar passe dans le désert du Ténéré. Et ce morceau de bravoure devient légendaire. Et à partir de 84, Thierry Sabine s'impose chaque année de repasser dans le Ténéré. Et donc finalement, la légende du désert du Ténéré dans la course du Dakar se monte en même temps que la moto est commercialisée.
As a former R1 rider whose destiny was to ride quickly around the world on the best possible services, the newfound freedom riding slower in the backwoods on piste made the transition to the road ever more satisfying. I was beginning to understand the versatility of this medium-sized machine. France and Spain ticked off. Now it was time for Morocco. This tiny kingdom on the northwest corner of Africa would surely have those gritty, sandy-coloured tracks across the Atlas Mountain. But first I had to ride from Tangiers and across the plains. There were elder ladies tending flocks of sheep, donkeys carrying their burdens with equanimity. When suddenly I was invited in by a family who were really fascinated by the bike. So we had some fun. So if we could go around here like this?
Oui, yes.
So here? Yes. Or here?
وي وي اورا حنا ورا السربه السربه حنا ورا تكملوا
Here we are.
اورا لا قيمه ذا بيس قيمه ختامنس قيمه ختامنس زايد دحن زايد دحن زايد قيمه كيس ختامنس كحال ختامنس عندنا يا سافوس فيها يا سعد يا سافوس صافي
Yes, perfect. Now let's
صافي قيمه امك نجا.
This is the unveiling of the Tenere 700 in Morocco. Ready? We let this. Here we go. You do it. Yes, that's it. Right, that's it.
Assis.
Ta-da!
Oui, merci.
For many years, the Dakar raced across this magnificent African country. The Dakar route across the Atlas Mountains, and I'm looking at a map here, and my sat-nav says it's unpaved, and the map says it's unpaved, and clearly it isn't because it's being constructed as I speak. So my hopes there of finding an unpaved road across the Atlas Mountains have been dashed. It's not what I want to say, but the world is being paved. This little-known track over the Atlas Mountains will soon be a 2-lane highway, and it's happening all over the world. And here it comes again, the road roller, constructing a new road across the Atlas Mountains, which is great. It makes the world a safer place, but it makes it just a little bit less exciting.
I thought I heard you. Or was it
Travel
just
makes you modest. You see what a tiny space you occupy in the world. But as I sat on my bike, I was fearless in the pursuit of what sets my soul on fire.
I thought I saw it. Or was it all bad?
Better you see something once than have someone like me tell you about it 1,000 times. And whilst wherever you go becomes a part of you, it doubles that feeling when you're sitting on your bike. I've travelled across Morocco many times, and there have been many transformations. Street lamps replace the darkness. Roads cover tracks once established by donkeys. There is always, though, a cost to change. And then you go around the corner and realise some things will always be the same. Meanwhile, back at the MBK factory in France, very big changes were underway. The building of a brand new motorbike, and it was extremely exciting to think how this was going to actually change people's lives. And whilst the new Tenere was still a twinkle in the manufacturer's eye, I took the CP2 engine to Russia and to Mongolia to get to know its sound, how it felt, and how it made me feel. The Tenere 700's parallel twin motor is a straight lift from the Tracer 700, and apart from a reshaped airbox and exhaust to suit the new design package and frame, the engine componentry is exactly the same. 270-degree crank, 8-valve, 689cc parallel twin offering 72 bhp and 50 pound-per-foot of torque. It all equals mechanical solidity. And what's so amazing about this bike is that it's so cosmopolitan. Whatever I chuck at it, it can handle it with impunity. here I am at the top of the Atlas Mountains, and I just know that it's so solid and so rigid and so, how can I put it, so beautifully built and engineered. It's just simply not going to break down. The name Tenere started in a discussion with Jean-Claude Olivier way back in 1983, only to become part of Yamaha's DNA, infused in its history, and that equals heritage. And it reminded me of another bike with the word Tenere in it. My up and down ride along the length of the Americas, when I rode from Alaska to Ushuaia and back in 40+ days, could only have been accomplished with a bike with built-in engine durability. The conditions here in Tierra del Fuego, you know, as you would expect in midwinter. And what about the XT660Z, which I took to the Sahara? Coming clearly into focus is the idea of heritage, which for me was like looking down the opposite end of a telescope. It's a particular view I've had, and it's stretched over so many adventures with Yamaha over so many years. And as for more world rides, well, even though the R1 is not a Tenere, in terms of heritage, it'd be rude not to give it a mention. So back to the Tenere 700, and it's to be remarked that only with the combined efforts of this joined-up team of thinkers, engineers, designers, marketeers, factory workers, road testers and adventurers, only then was it possible for the boss of Yamaha Europe to continue with his exploration of the merits of this new machine.
Vous savez, un bon design, c'est cette parfaite harmonie entre des éléments techniques sur lesquels on ne veut pas lâcher, qui sont imposés, si on veut rester pur dans l'ADN de la moto.
It's been quite a while since I've had a bike which is completely capable of taking me into a back road like this in the high Atlas Mountains.
Un design qui les intègre et les absorbe de manière très naturelle.
And I think it's almost like having a bike like that just reminds me of what it's like to get to places like this.
Parce que là, on sait que le design a été juste quand on arrive à ce résultat, et je pense que c'est ce qu'on a obtenu avec cette moto.
I'm in almost effectively in the middle of nowhere, and I'm alone, and the views are extremely extraordinary. It's just every adventure biker really ought to be here, at least once in their life. The great man Joey Dunlop himself said about riding a bike fast. It's just a bike and I go a bit fast like. You don't have to be a superhero to do something cool. But when you get to your cafe at the top of your mountain, you can say, I just ride a bike, but a bit far like. Just when you think you want a cup of coffee and you suddenly find there's a house here with a bloke who's lived here all his life, and he brings out a cafe au lait and biscuits, and we're in the middle of nowhere in the high Atlas Mountains and there's nobody else lives out here. And this is what I love about travelling and being on the road. It's just extraordinary. It really makes me laugh. I love it. And there's an opportunity not to miss out here in the middle of somewhere, me and my little iron horse. But as the great Yamaha rider Jean-Claude Olivier once said, similarly to the way that I think.
C'est une démarche sportive et une démarche marketing. Parce que j'ai toujours pensé que la compétition était une forme de business et que le business était une forme de compétition. Je devais faire le Paris-Dakar qui était pour moi le symbole d'une recherche d'aventure moderne au travers de mon métier.
Paris-Dakar rally passed here often or usually, and before to arrive here they cross Erfurt, Rashidia, and then after Merzouga, Ergshbi, they go to direction Ouarzazate and then Samara before to arrive to Mauritania, which is Paris-Dakar rally. It's something really very important for the region and for Morocco.
At the Parc Fermé in Ouarzazate, I saw the 2007 Dakar overnighting prior to the fifth stage to Tantan. An Antonov cargo plane shipped in a mobile operating theatre along with hundreds of tons of equipment and supplies. Much of the time, the race would be in the desert, and as a self-supporting enterprise, the officials, TV crews, race mechanics and riders would want for nothing in order to continue on its way.
It makes publicity and talk about our region, and also bring help and bring more guests also. Even not these people who participate in Paris Dakar, but there is other people coming to see Dakar and they stay in our guest house. So it's something very important for our region.
Once the camel traders would have taken their camel trains across maybe to Timbuktu to collect salt or gold from Mali and bring it back wherever. But now the camel traders make their money through tourists, although there aren't many here. I'm probably the only one, I think. But just over there is Chebi, which is the longest, biggest sand dune in Morocco, and it's right on the Algerian border, just a few kilometres over there. It's not a theatrical backdrop, it's not a stage set, it's not a movie set either. This is actually real, it's authentic, and it's been here for millennia.
Cette envie de liberté, cette envie d'aventure, tout ça, ça a nourri les années 70.
At that time, Yamaha legend Jean-Claude Olivier was the architect of this new expression of adventure.
La dimension du désert fait que lorsque vous êtes dans le désert tout seul, il faut un self-control très important.
Itinerary mean in our languages, which is Tamashikt or Tamazight or Berber, it means Sahara. And if you want, normally it means rough Sahara, which is mixed between rock and stones and sand dunes. And really it's start from here in Morocco, south of Morocco to Algeria, to Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, where, for example, the caravan crossed before.
Ali's place is one cool gaff, and it was here where I could plan the next move in my search for this wonderful word, Tenere.
Donc nous étions très ambitieux. Donc je voulais une moto économique, qui reste accessible, une moto super simple, qu'on sache réparer soi-même. On ne peut pas partir à l'aventure si on ne comprend pas sa moto et on ne sait pas faire les interventions vitales. Mais pour faire les interventions vitales, il faut qu'il y ait le moins d'électronique possible et il faut qu'il y ait le plus de mécanique possible.
There's a back road here which I'm thinking of experimenting with, and it goes towards an oasis, or at least there's a load of trees. There's a very small route on the map and it goes through the mountains and the back road to Guilmem, where I'm going tonight. But I'm not sure whether I should, because I've just noticed it's 50 degrees centigrade on my instrument panel on my bike. It strikes me as being a little bit hot. I've only got a bit of water. The Dakar was a race, but uniquely also an adventure, and in a different way, as Jean-Claude once again explains, riders in the competition were more than bike riders, but warriors who sometimes found themselves alone in the desert.
Surtout à l'époque où on n'avait pas de GPS, où il fallait s'orienter tout seul, où c'était une épreuve humaine très difficile, où nous faisions 15 000 km de course. Et je crois que cette difficulté, cet espace, m'a beaucoup aidé dans la tête, dans l'esprit.
I knew only too well what it meant to overcome hardships on the road, with only my own heart and spirit to guide me. After so many circumnavigations and long miles, mostly alone, they were there, my family, waiting for me too. There are so many ways to be brave or crazy in this world. Sometimes it involves giving up everything you've ever known or everyone you've ever loved for the sake of searching for something you'll probably never find. Sometimes it's nothing more than gritting your teeth through a bit of discomfort. The work of every day, the slow ride maybe towards a better adventure.
On savait qu'on avait un cœur formidable qui était ce moteur. Et donc cette moto-là, elle est un hommage à tous ceux qui croient à ces valeurs, qui ont envie de pousser les frontières, qui ont envie de continuer à découvrir leur vie et le monde à travers la moto.
Always on the road and quickly through the Moroccan-Mauritanian border, and the desert turns into a Mad Max landscape. A place where some dodgy uncle would sell you a second-hand car, or a place where your car gives up a sort of graveyard of knackered automobiles. Then by Nouadhibou, Africa shows its face, no longer cosmeticized by its wealthier northern neighbour. The desert truly appears. Nomad tents, people also on the move with their pots and pans and kids and dogs. And always the tree, a symbol of cool shade, a place of safety under a hot sun. And like the Dakar, I have been on the road to Mali also, now somewhere en route to Nouakchott, the capital of the country where meat was cut and carefully weighed and cooked for passing travellers. Then in 2007, when I last rode to Timbuktu, I took a photographer friend to capture the timelessness of Sahel tribespeople. The great American photographer Ansel Adams said that photography is an austere and blazing poetry of the real. I watched Dave, and it seemed like you don't actually take a photograph. You ask quietly to borrow it.
These people are beautiful, and they've not seen digital photography before, so they're a bit reticent at first, but as soon as you show them a picture, they just glow.
It's a secret about a secret. The more it tells, the less you know.
Show them themselves, because they don't see themselves like that. You know, I don't think they've seen the technology, and it just blows them away.
But as Jean-Luc Godard said, when you photograph a face, you photograph the soul behind it.
Et donc finalement, la légende du désert du Ténéré dans la course du Dakar se monte en même temps que la moto est commercialisée. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas d'aventure s'il n'y a pas de tout-terrain. Le principe même d'avoir une moto qui a une capacité de franchissement tout-terrain fait que d'un seul coup, les limites de votre périple ne sont plus des limites à la qualité de la moto, mais sont des limites que vous vous imposez vous-même. C'est l'homme qui fixe ses limites, c'est pas la machine.
This is what I like about sat-navs, they really do take you into funny places. I'm on the way to the Lac Rose, to you know, the completion of the journey, and I'm soon to be here in the back end of nowhere. Just behind me is the Lac Rose. I've just arrived here. It's the end destination of all the Dakar events when they used to race in Africa, the world's greatest motorcycle and truck and vehicle event in the world. The Lac Rose is what the Champs-Élysées is to the Tour de France, so it's a terribly important end destination. And also it is to me, because I've ridden down from France, from Paris, down through France and Spain and Morocco, Mauritania, now into Senegal, to get here. And as an end destination, well, of course, a lot of end destinations are quite underwhelming, and this one in particularly is, I suppose. There's lots of plastic bottles everywhere, and not a lot to see, and the lake isn't very rose-coloured. But nevertheless, you know, you finish off a journey which you've started, and I guess that's the important thing.
Là, on sort une nouvelle Ténéré, on doit réécrire des livres. Mais on ne peut pas le faire tout seul, il faut qu'il y ait les clients, il faut qu'il y ait l'envie, il faut qu'il y ait le rêve, il faut qu'il y ait l'envie de liberté et il faut qu'il y ait l'envie d'aventure. Et c'est eux qui feront la légende de la Ténéré, de cette nouvelle Ténéré.